Hi guys, I'm Zane.
I'm Chase.
Welcome to Late Night Renaissance. Thank you for attending our first podcast.
Our first ever one.
Yeah,
What do you
it's
think we're gonna be? Are we talking about Egyptian stuff today?
something like that, some ancient
Stuff.
stuff.
Yeah. Before we start, before we cut over to the podcast, if we want, we want to just say again, thank you very much for listening to the very first time we're recording this podcast. Not the third time, not the third practice time, but the actual first podcast we're going to release. If you have any ideas or anything like that, please send your notes our way. We're going to have our email link. Well, we're going to have the podcast email link in the description. If you want to ask any sort of questions or anything like that, please shoot us an email. If the question is good, not just you being a meme, send us memes too if you want to. Memes are funny.
Memes are accepted. I don't have Facebook now, so be my meme outlet.
Be my meme outlet. But yeah, we'll have that in the description somewhere for that. So yeah, thank you very much. Sit back, relax, and enjoy an episode, our first ever episode of the Late Night Renaissance podcast.
Don't forget to subscribe.
So we just got finished watching the first two episodes of, was it Code Pyramids?
The Code of the Pyramids, or some Code of the Pyramids.
Some Netflix. It's on Netflix. It is a. It's one of those documentaries.
Docu-series.
You know the fuck I mean. All right, it's a season of a documentary.
All about the pyramids.
Yeah, all about the pyramids.
And how
Right in the title.
everything you learned was wrong.
Yeah.
Well, theories suggesting they have evidence, strong evidence, I think.
Yeah, I believe that they have strong evidence as well. Yeah. So let's talk about first the commonly accepted thing about the pyramids, that they were all basically tombs.
No.
That's the commonly accepted.
It's common because there were pyramids
That were for tombs.
There were. But they were not
They were
the
ones
pyramids
that were built,
of Giza.
They were built the most recent.
Yeah.
So thousands of years after the original pyramids were built.
I would say they were built for like an aesthetic or a vanity purpose for the king or person who was buried there. It wasn't so much
the accepted thing, but only with certain pyramids, which that is strongly for that.
They're called step pyramids.
They're called the step pyramid in Egypt, like the ones that are further south along the Nile River.
Yeah.
Those have strong evidence that they were tombs because there literally were tombs in there. Now the other pyramids there,
they have sarcophaguses, but that's not
but they don't
signify.
but they have sarcophagus there, yes, but they don't have human remains there. Or at least
sarcophaguses don't necessarily mean it's for a human to remain. Sarcophaguses are just, they can be important religiously or whichever. Like they could have been burning rosemary down in those. You don't know. Like it's just probably not burning rosemary, but
yeah, I know what you mean. Like, they could be something religious there. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But like, so the concept of the show so far, because we only seen the first two episodes.
Very interesting 2 episodes.
Very interesting 2 episodes, yes. It's kind of following of what if we looking at this wrong. Not like there's a small part of like how they built the pyramids, because when you talk about the pyramids, you got to talk about how they built them.
Like how.
But they are also talking about like the ancients.
They haven't gotten into that in the first 2 episodes. How they built it. We'll probably never know.
Yeah.
Until we know. Until we find out what the pyramids were actually used for and how they.
But think about it. 10,000 years in the future, they'd probably want to know how the fuck we made our skyscrapers.
Nah, because we have photographic evidence of everything. You can literally probably look on the internet.
That shit can go though.
It can, yeah, but
they brought up a very specific thing of people probably knew, but someone in the chain of knowing died.
Yeah.
And so that knowledge is lost because the last person to know it died.
Yeah.
And probably before they were able to pass it on.
It's basically like killing everybody's heir. Like you basically
you end that bloodline.
Yeah.
You end that tree in the family tree of humans.
Well, one thing that I found that was weird was they had quartz everywhere. Quartz crystals carved out of almost everything.
Which for now is the basis of like computer chips, internet wires.
Yeah.
All of those are based in quartz.
So it's weird that an ancient civilization
Knew to use quartz.
Yeah, which we haven't even gotten to what the pyramids were, even what they think the pyramids are for,
or what we think they were used for.
I mean, yeah, now we think it is because we watched that.
Yeah, we're now forming our own opinions. We haven't watched the whole series, but we have opinions along the road. Like for mine, now each pyramid had its own scientific purpose. They have one of them that, like the three that everyone knows. You know, everyone knows the three periods next to the
pyramids of Giza.
Pyramids next to the Sphinx. People know like the whole thing with Orion's belt and how that kind of all simulates like maybe it was aligned with the stars. Well, the great.
Well, they were always astrologers. They were known to be.
Yes. So one of those pyramids is built in a specific way to help understand more astronomy, not just astrology, which probably was what they were looking into at the time, but in our eyes is now astronomy, which is without the religious context of space and the understanding of space without a religious context in there.
Yeah, they were looking at
religious context.
They were looking at it with a blind eye almost.
Kind of, yeah. More they were looking
in our sense of the world, because everybody knows about religion. It's not something that you can just not overlook. I feel like everybody knows about Christianity. Or Jesus, I should say. Maybe not Christianity in general, but
everyone knows about something. Yeah, the Holy Grail will be its own episode.
We'll get there.
But back to the pyramids. So, I've heard a couple conspiracy theories, not necessarily about the pyramids, but the Sahara Desert in general. And we kind of saw in the map that they showed in the show how like the green part of where the Nile is eerily stops
right where the pyramids are,
right before the pyramids. But for some reason, like it's like green and it's almost a clear line. It's so close to a clear line, you're like, that's a clear line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, and then it's just desert.
It's weird.
It's immediate like snap change.
And also, it almost like makes me think of like somebody performed like a black magic curse on the pyramids or something and like cursed the land.
But what if the ancients went to war? Listen, ancients went to war with each other, mutual destruction. As we know what mutual destruction is launching.
Mutual. The pyramids are still standing, so
they are.
There's other things
without their outer coating.
Yeah, but
they explain more that the outer coating acts more as an insulator, while the inner is
two different types of limestone. It's basically like
one's
like
more
a wired cord for your phone.
Yeah, one's like the outer air was an insulator, and the inner limestone is a conductor of electricity. Well, the other one's insulator.
Basically, and they were also built on top of
aquifers that there's energy going through them.
Water rising and falling from the limestone, and they harness that energy in the air.
It's
theorized. Yes, theorized. It's theorized.
I'm getting that on the shirt. That's going to be our first show. Teary eyes about these theorized statements.
Theorized. You made me lose my train of thought now.
I apologize, man. I just wanted to get this new shirt out there. For those Patreon subscribers, you know what I mean?
Hey, man. 69 cents to become a Patreon subscriber. Not that bad.
Yo, I wish. Is that an option? That is to pay the 69 cent subscribers, bro. That's it.
That's all we have. That's all we offer.
69 cent, $5 subscribers. You get a T-shirt, dog. Like, you get the teary-eyed, theorized T-shirt. Anyway, I'm sorry for breaking your train of thought, but you were talking about the aquifers, how they were going up and down the limestone, harnessing electricity.
Harnessing electricity of the earth, because, dude, there's so much to talk about. It's so like there's ley lines involved. I feel like the ley lines are some of the most important because that signifies that heavy energy.
Okay, let's go into the magnetic ley lines of Earth itself. How there's electrical current moving across certain lines and spaces on Earth due to its magnetic field. Mm-hmm. And then we see other crossings of these lines where other buildings like this are buildings. Technically, it's a building.
Monoliths
like this.
Whatever.
Monoliths. We're
obelisks.
pyramids and structures of those nature.
Stonehenge.
Yes.
A lot of things in South America. A lot of pyramids in South America are built on ley lines. Kings in China were buried on ley lines.
Yeah, commoners were not allowed to be buried on ley lines as well. So that means there's common knowledge of what the magnetic ley lines were.
Yeah.
Maybe it was not as broad as we know ley lines to be. It was probably more centralized. Like, for some reason, this line here is holy of some sort.
They must have had like a shaman or something that was like.
Was it a shaman or was it a scientist? Technically, shamans were like the first scientists, weren't they? Testing God's creation in the Christianity sense of the term, because I feel like most people won't understand that.
Well, then if you go shamans, that's technically like alchemy in a sense. Science is alchemy.
Well, a lot of chemistry and stuff like that is based off of alchemy. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and how they
a lot of putting in this product with this product gets you this one. Like it's the same thing.
I mean, kind of not branch out from the alchemy itself, but more into the scientific part. Maybe there was things that they were able to see, because like before you knew what gravity was, you saw shit go up and go down. Everyone has, and everyone has seen it up until Isaac Newton was like, "Why does it keep falling down?" You know what I mean? It's shit that we observe that we don't try to take. We don't.
We just accept it. We don't look into it.
Exactly. And I'm saying, what if these religious scholars in ways religious in all senses of the term religious, so in all religious context, were like, let's try to prove God or prove this creation of God, or try to more understand the creation of a God, this God, God something. And that's how they learned all this stuff. They were able to take these observations, learn what these observations did. Maybe did not understand what they were, but understand what they did and kind of try to describe it as such.
They were untarnished minds.
Yeah. So, and then the way in the show they were trying to discuss, they were discussing how Egypt back then, people, they already went through this process. We read history as a retelling of this process, where they were trying to show in the show in like 2000 BC, right, where BCE, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Before the now regarded calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
People were kind of looking at everything like they already knew it. They were already at the end of that. And for some reason we had to restart. We lost this knowledge that we've known, and it set us back so far that we reset our history somehow. You see what I mean?
In a sense, I see what you mean. We lost the connection we had with the earth, is what you're saying? In a sense?
Not necessarily connection with the earth, but connection to the past. Or
past.
Because you know how we learn about our past. We learn off of our past mistakes. Our past failures and successes. We learn and base our future off of that.
Yeah.
In a sense. Well, we lose all of that, right? We lose if the ancients were not near the end, but near the end for them of their learning process, all of that prior process is now lost. We're set so far back from where we can restart.
Mm-hmm.
So if the ancients were at that point where they could understand these kind of things and how to apply this energy to different compartments, the urns they are showing as old batteries, in a sense. Yeah. These urns having...
they produce electric charges.
They produce and...
When they recreated it. They recreated the urns that were found in like pyramids and stuff. And it created electrical currents, and they could like make light bulbs light up with it. And basically proving that ancient Egyptians weren't as low tech as they seem.
Yeah. It's just a different...
There's actually a lot of famous scientists who probably base their work in electricity off of Egyptians.
Yeah.
Like Tesla.
Yeah, and then now that the Egyptian government, for the three main ones at the most part, and a couple of the other ones, are just guarding it off. Like, no, you can't do anything scientific here.
No studies.
No studies. Get the fuck out of here, mate.
Not.
But this goes into a conspiracy theory about how the government's trying to, hold back technology from us. And then it kind of, I don't believe it's because of that. I believe it's more because of probably safety, or
Well, what about
they're just
this?
being dicks, or they possibly think grave robbing and stuff like that. Even though we would have proof of.
What if the government doesn't even know?
That's a whole other possibility as well.
What if they're just going with the wave? They're like, we got this technology, we got this stuff. Let's just continue doing what we're doing. There's no need to change, but there is, because we're losing.
We're ruining our planet, ourselves, and everything like that.
What if you ever get that deja vu feeling?
All the fucking time, mate.
What if Earth is just a constant recombobulation of everything that we've gone to?
It's the same cycle. That's what I'm bringing it back to. What if we always get to a point where our previous thing is lost? Our previous knowledge is lost. Something happens. Something is lost. And then we are pushed so far back that we forget that this happened. We lose that this happened. Because now we don't even know if the pyramids were made of that. Maybe people were like, yeah, they were electricity. I have no idea the fuck how. But yeah, they were made for electrical purposes or some purpose to do something like that.
Yeah.
But we even lose that through time, through people dying, through possibly a significant event. I feel like if this were to happen again in the next cyclical period, I think a lot of people could say, oh, that's nukes. That sounds like completely nuclear bombs. And that would reset the timeline again. We get pushed so far back that our technology is gone. Our technology, our ideas of how to
process events in our life.
Not even process events,
but process things that we witness. It doesn't happen the same when you don't have information.
Yeah, it snaps us back to a more primal, pushing us back down the evolutionary chain to kind of restart that whole process.
Do you think that was primal or more evolved?
No. No. I see where you're about to go with this. You're seeing that they were still primal. But what if they got to a point where they were as evolved as we were? Something happened.
I'm saying they had so much technology that they just went insane. Because that's what's happening in America. Because people get addicted to social media and things like that and ruins their lives. So what if same thing could happen before, where people weren't ready for that technology to be seen, and either people got jealous or people didn't know how to handle it and they just reacted out of anger. What is it they said? What man doesn't know, or man fears what man does not know.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. If they go to Egypt and see these pyramids that are glowing or something from electric, they're going to say witchcraft. They're going to think that, especially
they
back
don't
then,
comprehend it.
Yeah, they don't comprehend the science. Nowadays, since we know what science is, we see something, we're a little bit less reactive to it. We're like, oh, that's probably some weird science shit that's happening over there. I don't know, but hey, looks cool. Like, or Aurora Borealis.
I want to see that so bad. That sounds
exactly.
So cool.
Can you explain why it happens? I'm sure there's somebody out there that we know how it happens, but to a commoner like us, who doesn't have that study,
I kind of know why
man,
it works.
fuck you! You ruined everything.
Motherfucker, I'm in college, bro. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
I should have gone to college.
I love silent.
I should have stayed in college.
I love science, bro.
Yeah, no, science is cool. I just don't like school.
Yeah, school sucks dick. I can tell you that from straight up. But back to what I was saying, how we kind of like reset ourselves in that cycle. What if they know? What if they know and they don't show the public?
And they're using it to their advantage.
What if they're like trying to see if this could be the cycle that breaks it, or are we not far enough yet?
Well, I've always thought that,
because I feel like
everything in our life is a test, and even stuff that we see, there's constantly music telling us to do stuff, people on the internet telling us to live our life this way, telling you to do something. Some people are very, I'd say, obeying of it, and they just kind of follow the wave, the trend, and
see what I was thinking more like. I'm gonna bring this back. I swear. Do you remember One Piece, the anime, the pirate anime?
Mm-hmm.
So I've watched 592 episodes of One Piece.
That's 591 too many.
No, it's not. I have 600 more episodes to go. But so the whole story is there's this guy named Luffy, and he wants to be a pirate, and he wants to find the biggest treasure ever called One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
Roll credits. That's the name of the show. So while they're going on it, one of his spoilers. I don't give a shit. This came out like 10 years ago, but one of his pirate crew, her name is Nico Robin. Close enough, but she's trying to study the past that has been hidden. You see later that's possibly hidden by the Navy. There are secret stones that show monoliths that have ancient writing that she has studied and is trying to collect data of the past that no one talks about. And then it's slightly hinted so far that the Navy's covering up something, and that they're holding it for their control. And that's why people are going to piracy and things like that.
You know what would be crazy on some like Hollywood type deal is if America's each branches of the army or the government all had like a secret ancient artifact that gave them powers, and they were all like, don't use your stuff because I'm going to use my stuff, and you don't want me to use my stuff because then he'll use his stuff and we'll just kill each other.
You want to know what they're called? Nuclear bombs.
I was about to say, I was like, sounds like nukes.
Imagine, man, the simplest building blocks of life. Cracking the smallest thing like that causes such a tremendous explosion that it wrecks and ruins. Wrecks immediately, ruins over time where it explodes. Unless, there's water there. Or something to take the force of that blow. That should break your mind. Something so small that we can't even see, if broken in half,
done.
You're fucked. You just fucked in that moment.
There's just so much energy in it.
There's so much
one
energy.
molecule.
And in that one atom.
Or
one
right.
atom can do that. The fact that electricity can move just by the electrons, the second tiniest particles, they're flying around that tiny ass particle. Shooting off into something else could cause so much electricity, so much electricity, movement of electrons. That's the electron, baby. Like, something so small can do something so great. And yet, we are harnessing these kind of things for the wrong things. What if the people back then got to that point where they were harnessing these things for evil things, and then they had that reset of maybe not nuclear warheads, but their equivalent of that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what they would be. That's lost in history. It probably wasn't a nuclear weapon, or we'd probably still be fucked today, or it'd finally
so
be done.
I was thinking black magic. Put a curse upon the lands.
What if black magic was just them understanding electrons? Imagine taking someone from 100 years ago. 100 years ago. 1918. World War I's ended, baby. We win. Calvin Coolidge's president. You take someone who's finally saw a TV and you hand them a fucking iPhone 6.
It's gonna break them.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like,
hey,
this is color?
You're like, hey, you know that TV? That's what this screen is, but you can move it with your finger. Okay, yeah, that's kind of cool. What are all these things do? They're games.
What are games?
Game. You know that thing they play at the stadium with the baseball thing? Yeah, that's a game. There are thousands of those in here. oh, you want to call your you want to talk to your friend in China? Yeah, here you go. It's calling them. What's call?
Well, they had phones back then.
Yeah, they had phones then, but not to China.
Not
And then
China.
and they look around like, where's the wire? It's like, oh no, it goes to a satellite in space. You guys went to space? Yeah, we went to the moon.
Supposedly, flat Earth, flat Earth.
Get the
I had to put it in there for no
Yeah.
one.
You just got a flat Earth or stay car, just huh? Oh, he's making fun of me. Never mind.
Yeah, like
Huh?
get the fuck out of here, man.
They're like a meerkat that like sees like food and just stands
They
up.
like come out of their hole. They're like, this might be worth it. Nah, never mind.
No, never mind. Get off the podcast. But yeah,
We don't want you unless you subscribed. But we haven't even
69
posted
cent,
anything.
69 cent Patreon subscribers.
On Patreon.
But yeah, going back to the topic of the pyramids themselves. Is there any other kind of facets about that show that kind of, brought something up and kind of tickled your mind about that stuff?
That Tesla used that technology to process calls and whatnot to create basically a wireless call center.
Oh yeah, the radio and electrical waves that were coming out
Yeah.
of the tower off of Long Island Beach.
Yep.
Not Long Island, it's just Long Island, New York.
Well, now see, that's a very good thing that he had going, but he wanted it to be free.
Yeah, and then underneath it had had similar tunnels
Yep.
to the pyramids going
The
down to
same
an aquifer. Do you think that would possibly be a coincidence, or do you think he probably figured that out and he wanted to make that free to everybody, like truly, or do you think he was just like, for some reason this shit works?
Maybe
Because we know the reason why Edison won was because
Tesla
Tesla
all the patents.
money. He won because he could make a profit, and Tesla wasn't looking out to make a profit.
Yeah, Tesla.
Supposedly.
Tesla. What do you mean supposedly? Tesla was a good guy.
He's a he is a he is
He was a
written-
good guy.
He's written as a good guy.
What would you? Do you think he was there to play a part?
I think Edison was there to play a part, not Tesla.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But you're saying Tesla was written as a good guy.
He's written as a nice guy, and then just written off.
Well,
Oh
that's
well,
usually how nice guys are. They get written off.
bro, they hit me right in the feels.
Bro.
That hit so many people right in the feels.
Bro, I'm just saying, like, that's. And it's unfortunate with our society nowadays, too, because there's a lot of people, especially, rappers, that have bad things going around their name, but yet they're still so popular. And it's the same thing with Thomas Edison. People still revere him as the inventor of the light bulb, even though he
Denied
had
about the light bulb.
nothing to do with it. He literally bought a patent that said he can make the fucking light bulb.
No, he didn't buy the patent.
His
His main thing was currents, direct versus alternative currents, and
I
how
thought
to power
he had
homes.
bought the patent from another person for the light bulb and then claimed it as his own. Like, I'm pretty
Probably.
sure I remember hearing that.
Probably, that sounds like something Edison would do, but that's business. too.
Well, yeah, it's business. The guy fucked up. Then he got coined as,
The
and
inventor of
really
light
in
bulb.
America, growing up, you think Thomas Edison is a shit.
Yeah.
Like I should say in our generation.
I think he may have bought the patent. The patent for the light bulb didn't work the way he then tweaked it to work.
Yeah.
I feel like that makes much more sense. Then he could be like, he's the inventor of a light bulb. Yeah, the idea of a light bulb was made beforehand.
Well, it's
but he,
probably been around forever.
which actually shows in the hieroglyphics on the Egyptian in Egypt.
Looks like a
Hieroglyphics in
chandelier
Egypt.
almost. It was really weird.
It was really weird.
It looked like they were literally in like a rich person's home,
With like a nice ass.
a
chandelier.
nice ass chandelier, and it's just hanging with these ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, along with what looks like a helicopter and a boat.
A boat and a like
plane,
a submarine type deal.
spaceship type deal. Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm gonna say there's been things written as UFOs and stuff like that, even in like old Renaissance
It
paintings.
could be aliens driving by. It could have been just their imagination, like wondering, like, "Oh, this would be really cool."
It could have been a story. It could have been a story, and someone like, cause here's a question. Here's a question I want to ask you. This is a little bit slightly off topic. So, think about all the fantasy and those type of things there are, like dragons and spaceships and stuff. Do you think that people truly made that up out of nothing, or do you think they like had an inspiration in something that was semi-true?
Well, I mean, you don't know.
The story of dragons has been around since long before us. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, they've been.
What if that was like possibly something that at once existed, then passed down until eventually it was a legend? So during a reset, during a cycle, after a cycle, we just heard about it as legend or as a story, as a thing, when really it could have
And you mean reset in a cycle as in killing off the last person who knows the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
It doesn't necessarily have to be that. It could be killing off, or it could be like a natural disaster that ruined it, or that wrecked him, or he just didn't pass it on like an asshole.
fucking dick.
I know. If you have knowledge, you should pass it on. That flows in the terms of wisdom. But
apparently, some knowledge passes through DNA as well.
going straight for the Assassin's Creed motion right there.
No. Just some innate knowledge. I feel like is passed through DNA.
Kind of like inherited traits and acquired traits.
Sort of like. Yeah, basically. Kind of like that.
Like inherited traits are more of things that are physical in nature, while you can acquire a trait like this knowledge this knowledge to like not deform your body, but like I guess technically it would be deform your body because you're
I'm not
changing
saying
the
so
form.
much that. I'm saying more. Like you ever walk into a situation or hear about something and you just don't feel comfortable about it. You just instantly get that feeling of like it's kind of weird.
Intuition
I guess
type
intuition type deal, maybe.
That
but like
feeling you get sometimes
yeah,
about certain places.
I'm sure people get that about certain objects or things in their life where they see it and they're just gives them an uneasy feeling.
Something we were talking about before. This is off podcast when we went outside at night when I was walking my dog, and me and you made the same observation. When it starts getting colder outside, you come outside and your first feeling is like, oh, it feels nice outside. And then like 5 minutes later, you're like, this feels fucking uneasy.
Yeah, it's eerie.
It's eerie.
It's
gamer tag on Steam. Continue. It's eerie though.
Yeah, no, it's
you get like this eerie, unsettling feeling like this. It isn't. It's not like it feels like it seems wrong, but you know it's not wrong, and those like conflicting things kind of just make you like, I don't want to go back inside. I'm done with this, dealing with this right now.
It almost, to me, it gives me a lot of nostalgia. Walking outside on like that first day it was cold when I walked outside. It was so nostalgic for some reason. Because like we're in Florida, we do not get cold here.
No.
When it gets below
it gets below 70 degrees, we're like, is this fall?
Yeah, we're like...
Sorry, below 80 degrees, we're like, is this fall?
Yeah.
We're in the 70s?
Yeah.
We're in fall now.
It's like for the next 2 weeks it might get under 80. And then all of a sudden it'll go down to like the 70s. And then we're like, well, this is winter.
Yeah, our winter is the 2 weeks of like 60 degrees during the day.
Yeah. Thank you, global warming.
Fuck you, global warming.
Yeah, no.
Climate change. That was me. I hate climate change. I believe climate change. Scientific evidence prove that there is climate change. But fuck climate change, you know what I mean? Like, it's fucking us up. Anyway. But, do you think that... going back to the cyclical thing I keep talking about, how close do you think understanding gets until that cycle breaks? Is it so close that only one or two people know, and then once they die, It kind of just starts.
No.
It slowly. It like we regress back slowly over time, quickly over time.
It's not so much regressing because we can regress at any moment. There's people who regress to a child every day, I feel like. There's people who just mentally break down. But in terms of humans, we can't necessarily regress because we'll find it out again eventually.
And that's what I think. That's what we're on the course for.
Well, yeah, we've. But this is the thing. We don't know what can of worms we're opening. We really don't know what.
But the point is, at one point we did know. And I guess the.
But what if it was something so savage as they disposed of human bodies, living, in fires and just some weird, you know. Of course, that's what they want. They probably want us to think that they're savages and they weren't technologically advanced and they weren't as. Again, it goes back to the how did they build the pyramids if they weren't that technologically advanced?
Yeah.
How is it that all
Now,
the stones
what-
are straight? How is it?
So here's a question. Let's say during that past, there's something that happened that destroyed humanity and made us regress back to our now current timeline of Middle Ages, Renaissance, all that bullshit.
I'll give you a hint.
Should we know what that was in the past to learn from it? Or should it not be known and pray we don't make the same mistake again?
See, that's where you can't.
Because if we know what the same mistake is, we would know not to do that, even though that could possibly be a good.
Think about a kid.
Okay.
Kids make mistakes every day. Usually, they don't know they're making that mistake, or they're an asshole kid and they just do it all the time, and then they're seeking attention. And pay attention to your kids. Little side note.
Got it, Dad.
Anytime. But anyways, just like think of a society as children. If we don't know, they could be walking us into something that we don't really want to be a part of. But it's there.
Yeah.
So it's
Now let's say we were the leaders of the world, me and you. They chose poorly, obviously, because me and you are leading the world. Not going to end well.
no, I think it did pretty well, man.
Let's say me and you, we know that not necessarily the leaders, but the previous civilization, they died due to this thing I'm going to call X. They did X, not ecstasy, but just X.
And it made something happen to destroy their...
It's destroyed humanity. We are now the only possessors of the knowledge of X. Should we let everyone know that X was the reason why the last thing was destroyed?
Well, you can't...
Or carefully watch, and as they get if they get closer to X, we cut them off.
Well, that messes with humans' free will. Because they're always going to want to know...
That's my point.
They're always going to want to know the truth. And eventually...
If you just give them the truth of X is what they did, X is the reason why they're all dead now. And this is why we are now here in this semi-shittier world.
Like, imagine if the CIA were to come out and say, yeah, we killed JFK. What would the repercussions be? There's nobody in the CIA that is currently active that was active back then.
Yeah.
I'm
So
pretty sure.
So we would blame the people who were CIA at that time.
Yes.
And if they came out and did that, would we be more trust?
But then here's the thing. What are you going to do about the other CIA members who were in the CIA after and knew about it but didn't say anything? Because those are classified files that I'm sure a CIA agent could look up and see declassified information or classified information, but they couldn't say anything. Because it goes back, whistleblower.
Well,
you don't want to be a whistleblower and become like a Ed Snowden and...
Well, that's the thing, though. If they knew that, if they finally came out and said it, they would, as a group, have already previously known the knowledge, and finally was like, it's time to release this. It's time to get them to know the truth.
Well, that's why declassified information comes out all the time. Or they declassify information all the time.
Yeah. I want them to declassify those UFO files, bro.
It's never going to happen.
I want it, man.
It's never.
I promise you it will.
I don't.
One fucking day it will.
Nope.
The collapse of America, possibly, be that day.
You're better off joining Trump's space battalion.
The Space Force?
Yeah, man.
Bro, I will sign up to be part of the fucking Space Force. Do I get to go into space?
I mean, do you know how to train for space?
I don't know, but someone's gonna teach you. Someone's gonna train me how to go to space.
You spin in a circle at high velocities and attain many G-forces.
Bro.
And it's only half of what you experience in the spaceship.
I'm the only G I know. Let's do it. Sorry.
I feel like Egyptians aren't given enough credit. Ancient Egyptians.
Ancient Egyptians.
I mean, not to downplay Egyptians nowadays because they're...
You're talking about the ancients. The ancients.
Yeah.
Just call them the
yeah.
The ancients.
Yeah. I feel like they're downplayed a lot to promote what we're living in today.
I believe you can always study something and learn something from it. So this trying to learn from the ancients thing, as long as this is not your main source, because there's always a reason why the ancients aren't still around anymore. But they probably had some good ideas, though.
Honestly, they might have been too much of a peaceful people, and they allowed too many things to come into their lives, and probably were ruined by somebody who they trusted. That's one of the only ways I can see it going down, to allow somebody into their city, and they destroyed them.
Yeah, allow the wrong thing.
Just like the Romans with the horse.
Like, think about this. If we take away nukes as, like, the way we would all die, what do we have left?
Famine. Pestilence.
Climate change.
I mean, yeah. Sorry, I was going for
all
the darker
those things
stuff.
Kind of come right up to climate change.
Yeah.
Because it's changing the environment, changing how everything reacts to everything else.
And
that's the only thing we got that are going to end us.
Little twist on this: energy affects us.
It's funny because we think nukes are more inclined to destroy us. They're going to be the fastest way to destroy us. I'll tell you that shit right now.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's so used as a scapegoat to not see the other ways we are destroying ourselves.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that...
Like, if we remove nuke from the problem and then start looking at everything else, the next thing would be climate change. That's why that's one of the big topics throughout the entire world right now. Because they're like, we're not going to shoot nukes at each other. We want to fix the world so we don't have to.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. I feel like countries aren't looking at it like that. They're looking at their own economies and their own livelihoods, and they're trying to protect their traditions, and they don't want anybody telling them how they should act or live, and that's why America gets a bad rap around the country, because we've become the thing that we sought out not to be, oppressors. I'm just saying,
yeah.
like...
I mean, look at America's past, we've always been oppressors.
Well, yeah, but in the beginning, our past started out to stop being oppressed. So...
I guess actually our entire history is kind of based on being oppressed.
Or live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
And that's going to be the end of the Late Night Renaissance podcast. I'm Chase.
I'm Zane.
Thank you for listening.
Good night.